Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Neil Lennon and Tam McManus here with us in the studio, and here's what we're going to talk about. Rangers pick up 3 points at Livingston as Philippe Clement believes teams should have more rest after European games.
Maybe for people who never played, think what is the difference for 6 hours more or 8 hours more, but it's a big difference.
Brendan Rodgers pleased with Celtic's response to Atletico defeat with a 6-0 hammering of Aberdeen. Tony Docherty reveals most pleasing aspect of Dundee's 4-0 rout of St Mirren.
Scored 2 goals from open play today, but as well as that, to get all your strikers on the score sheet and to keep another clean sheet is particularly pleasing.
Stuart Kettlewell issues a rallying cry as Motherwell make it 9 games without a victory.
But I do genuinely believe we have the people, and I do believe that we have a formula that will sort of arrest this form that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, lots to talk about from the weekend's Scottish Premiership fixtures over Saturday and Sunday. We will get to the football. There are some things that obviously occupy our minds that we always address, because on the programme we always get opinion. Of course, Celtic fans booing and jeering them in its silence, Ruffy, is again indicative of the way society is at the moment. You just need to show a bit of respect. If you don't want to show respect, don't go into the stadium.
Yeah, I think we continually say that, that it's a touchy subject with a lot of people, but I mean, I don't know why again you'd want to bring your club, into that kind of vocal part of it, when you've done particularly well after the game, when you win, and all we're talking about now is that particular thing when we should be talking about the football. And these people who go along there should just keep quiet.
Yeah, the other aspect of it, Tam, it's a regular situation where we're talking about the conduct of fans on a regular basis, not just Celtic fans, but right across the board, but particularly you could see that whole crash coming again over the weekend.
Yeah, it's poor. Listen, I mean, as Ruffy says there, if you can't be respectful, just don't say anything at all. There's no point in booing them in silence. It's happened before concerning Celtic fans. It's always going to happen from a small minority, I may add. The large majority of the crowd were respectful of the minute's silence, but you're always going to get idiots who ruin it, and that's all they are. They're just idiots, Peter. Yeah,
absolutely. You never solve it, Neil.
I was at the game. I wasn't aware of too much of it, Peter, so
no. I
don't know if this is being blown out by the proportion, but Celtic fans make their points when it comes to anything involving the British Army or the royal family, and that is their right to do that. It doesn't look good at times, but we expect it now.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. Of course, I would like to point out we live in a democracy. There's a battle that we were talking about over the last couple of weeks on the right to use football as a platform to air your displeasure at certain things which go on politically. This is another one which has many layers to it as far as Poppy Remembrance Day. You have your opinion on it. We've addressed it. We've given you our thoughts on it. Is it a case of disrespect? Is it a case of you are free to show your displeasure at it? Should it be involved in football? Should we actually get to a situation where we concentrate solely on football and not have any kind of applause or silence for anything, because it gives a platform to people who may well say things that are unsavoury, do things that are not nice. It's open to debate. We've addressed it. We move on. We talk about the football. Once the game kicked off, it was a tanking for Aberdeen.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think right for the start, Aberdeen thought they were going to set the stall early on, which was 5 at the back, 4 in the middle, and try to make it hard for Celtic. But after Celtic got the first goal, that formation went right out the window, and they couldn't even defend either. With that formation, some of the defending was deplorable. So you can see why the manager was absolutely furious at the end of the game, because they just didn't get hold of the game at all.
Yeah, of course Celtic have been on the end of their own hiding by 6 goals from Atletico Madrid. So to quickly bounce back was something that pleased Brendan Rodgers. This is what he had to say about that overall win. I said to the players before the game, throughout your footballing season, and life. You have painful points, but it's how you respond is where you're judged. I thought our players today were absolutely fantastic. They showed some great football, great movement, great connection in the team. Do you share that view, Neil Lennon?
I thought Celtic were good, but they didn't have to be good. You know, because Aberdeen were so poor and tepid. With Celtic, you know, it's a great response from, you know, a heavy defeat midweek, and it's, you know, under a bit of pressure, under a bit of scrutiny. Obviously, with Rangers winning earlier on in the day, the pressure was on them, but they handled it brilliantly. So I'm sure, looking at his coach, Brendan is delighted. Aberdeen mitigating circumstances. They've had a heavy run of games away from home. You know, we think of, I think Motherwell. You know, the semi-final. They play in Payock and then come back and play away again in Celtic Park. So sometimes you're the victim of your own success. They're in the League Cup final, which is great for them, but their league form is a bit of a worry at the minute. But I think that'll restore itself once the European adventure ends.
There is a bonus for Celtic in the fact that some players that maybe people are looking at and wondering if they're going to contribute and if they can step up to the plate did actually produce goals. With a double.
Yeah, took them well. Two good finishes. I think I like him as a player. I don't think he's had a run of games so far. I think he's an able deputy for a Kyogo. When he comes on over the last couple of weeks, you know, he's doing well. He's scoring goals. He's giving the manager something to think about. He's fighting for his career at Celtic. I think Celtic will probably dip into the market in January and buy another striker. But all he can do is come off the bench and score goals. And he done that. David Turnbull come off the bench and scored a great goal as well. So I think he'll be pleased with the squad players coming in and doing well. But as Neil said, I thought Aberdeen were terrible. I thought they looked tired, understandably. You know, they defended for 97 minutes the other night in Greece. They came and Celtic won that game in a canter.
Can I ask you as well, and you'll know better than anyone about that situation where you're looking at players that can handle it domestically, but there's a level that they just can't rise to. And that seems to be, you know, 1 minute you're getting sometimes a pat in the back for winning a game so emphatically against Aberdeen, then the next week you're suddenly facing a European team and getting, you know, a doing. You're never in that constant state of there's any praise that's not quickly followed by criticism.
Yeah, you have to hope that these players will progress eventually. There was some good signs yesterday. Yang had a very good game. Palma, you know, Holm, you know, started the game, so he's able to use the squad. But it is a big step, and I don't think some of them are ready yet, Peter. But you're hoping that will come with them being embedded into the philosophy around the club and the fact that they have to go out and play under pressure week in, week out. Not only win the game, but do it with a certain style as well. So it couldn't have been easy coming back from Madrid. You know, there would have been a lot of low morale and picking yourself up again for what was a really important game. But they probably couldn't have handpicked better opponents really under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's a great 3 points. It's an emphatic win. It's one that Celtic needed because they haven't really been, you know, battering teams and, you know, being emphatic. That was an emphatic win yesterday. 2 week break. You know, they'll come back and it restores the 8 point lead as well. So in terms of domestically, they're going well. They still need to try and, you know, solve the problem in the Champions League. Yeah,
it's going to be a last gasp thing to see if they even get third, if it is at all feasible. I mean, we can all offer our opinions. Ruffy, Tam, myself, we've been talking about this ad nauseum. I don't think the players they've got, you say some will step up, I don't think the players they've got are Champions League players, and I think they're a mediocre Europa League side, but now they've got a battle between now and that transfer window to try and get a couple of games, Lazio and Feyenoord, to try and secure third.
Well, looking at the Lazio game at home, you know, they shouldn't have lost that. You know, they're in control of the game. You know, they didn't deserve to lose it, but they did. And that comes with the quality at that level and not putting the Lazio away. I think they can win against Feyenoord at home, but again, they're going to have to dig in and play well. If they can replicate the form they've shown against Madrid in the first half, they were very, very good. They've shown their qualities then. Away from home is a real problem for them. At the minute, the group's 8-7, 6-1. You know, so they're going to have to get a win and a draw, Pete, out of the last 2 games. And whether Brendan can do that with the group of players that he has at his disposal remains to be seen. Because the other teams are going to be fighting for that top spot. Well, not top spot, because I think Madrid will win the group. But Feyenoord and Lazio will be all out for second place.
Yeah. Do you think, how many players do you think he needs in a January transfer window?
January is always a difficult month to do business like, but he needs at least 2.
Yeah.
Me.
What was the most?
If they're out of Europe, they might have to rethink that, or look at the following season to bed these players in between January and August, and get them up to speed for the Champions League next season. I would like to see them buy some quality, ready-made sort of players for that.
What was the most you get in a January window?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Again, it's a very, very difficult month to do any sort of business, and clubs at that stage don't want their top players or the better players to go, so they'll have a bit of work to do if they want to bring players in.
Yeah, Ruffy, I don't really like to comment on other broadcasters and criticism. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Are Aberdeen a side that somehow were absolutely woeful against Celtic but could turn up against Rangers, or is it the mitigating circumstances that Neil mentioned?
Yeah, I saw that. Any team like Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts should try as equal as against all the other teams. But we know that certain teams, when they come up against, you're touching on Aberdeen, Rangers. There's no doubt about it. The stats are there that Aberdeen do raise themselves, particularly against Rangers, because they've got results against Rangers. But it's not to say that, they do it all the time.
Yeah.
But
So you think there's a case to answer?
No, I don't think there's a case to answer at all. You go out and play the game, depending who you're playing against. You would like to think that the players on the park would try as hard as if it was Ross County. Just circumstances, some games you win the games.
No, I don't think so, Peter. I don't think I've ever came across any player that would try harder against another team. So I don't get that criticism from Chris Boyd at all, but he's entitled to his opinion. I think the records, as Ruffy said there, Rangers have got a better record, Aberdeen have got a better record against Rangers than they have Celtic, so maybe there's something in it. But
Tom, is the current crop of players wouldn't know about the history between the clubs, going back.
The fans probably up for it a wee bit more against Rangers, but that's it. I don't think the players.
The players wouldn't be like raising their game for Rangers and then not raising their game for Celtic. They'll see both sides as an opportunity to raise their own profile in those games. That's what you want to play against the best. And subconsciously, at times, you do lift your game to another level because you're playing in that arena. But yesterday, Celtic got the first goal, and I always think when the team is, trying to bed in, sit behind the ball, you get the early goal at Celtic Park, they're in trouble because there's no other plan B.
Yeah, if it's Ruffy, if it's 2-2 up at Pittodrie, there'll be hell to play because that is. There is a wee bit of needle between them, but as Neil mentioned there, players have got to be professional about these things. I just thought they were absolutely woeful against Celtic.
Just thought the way as I said earlier, the way they set their stall out to give Celtic possession of the ball. Any games you look at, if you get Celtic possession of the ball, I think it was 82% they had. Celtic are going to have chance after chance. I don't know what.
They haven't won a game at Celtic Park in 4.5 years.
The thing about it is,
picked up a point.
Once the second goal,
they haven't picked up a point.
No,
yeah.
Once the second goal went in, Neil would know better than us. He's a manager. Why would you stay with a rigid 5-4-1 when you're 2-0 down? And they continued that for the whole game and get absolutely swamped in the wings.
Yeah,
he's been playing that way all season, hasn't he? But the results have been sort of a mixed bag. He will say, look, we're in the League Cup final. We've had a bit of a go in the Europa Conference. We brought in some money, got a couple of points out of that. But I watched them in the semi-final against Hibs. Very fortunate, Pete, in that game.
Yeah,
I thought Hibs was a better team by far, and on another day could have won the game 2-3-1. So the guy had to deal with that. But he's sticking to this formation for now. Whether that changes as the Europe disappears and they play regular in the SPFL. They won 4-1 at Motherwell the other day. So we will say, look, it's working in some cases. But for me, it's not a good watch.
Yeah, Rangers under Philippe Clement just keep on going. Suddenly there's a resurgence, there's a confidence, the players all want to play for the manager, there's a discipline there that countless players have mentioned, and on what I call one of my least favourite pitches, Rangers had no problems, they got the win in the end.
No, they cruised it, Peter. I think it was 2-0 going on 5 or 6. I think it was 2 goals disallowed, he missed a penalty. total domination. Don't think Livingston, troubled at Rangers at all. I thought Rangers knocked the ball about well at times on a tricky surface. I thought the young lad McCausland gave them a lift, gave them some pace out wide, some energy. He's come into the team and done well. And I just thought that they won the game comfortably, and they look a totally different team under Clement. They look more physical, they've got more energy, more disciplined. And listen, what can be a tricky game, I thought Rangers absolutely cruised it, and good performance, good 3 points.
Yeah, okay, let's cut to the chase. It was a wonderful, long, fluent sentence from you there. What about the penalty?
It's not a penalty, Peter. He's dived. He's gone down before the goalkeeper. I don't think the goalkeeper actually even clips him. I think he kind of puts his leg into him. It's not a penalty kick for me. I was very, very surprised that was given after looking at it again. He goes down anticipating the goalkeeper clipping him. He's already on the way down before any contact's made. It's nowhere near a penalty kick. I think the second one's a penalty, it's a handball. But the first it's a poor decision by the referee.
Well, I've got no problem with McCausland, because at the end of the day, I can look back at several arguments that we all have over the years saying, professional footballers say to me time and time again,
Contact, go down.
Go down. Mm-hmm. Now, their attitude is, your attitude, Tam's attitude, Ruffy's, if I can win an advantage for the team, I will. Mm-hmm. It's for the referee to make the decision. Correct. My problem with it, though, Neil, is how on earth did somebody in VAR look at that and say that's a penalty?
I totally agree with you. And even if you look at it, the force with the goalkeeper, he has to really clip McCausland to bring him down. And he doesn't. He actually sort of tries to bring his hand away from it, and the kid falls over the arm. And it was clear to me that it was not a penalty. When you slow it down, it looks even worse. It looks even more not a penalty. So I agree with you. How VAR. I don't know if they hide behind this clear and obvious thing with the referee, but surely you would call the referee over and go, you need to have a good look at this because we feel that it needs looking at. And when I saw it and I saw the action replay, and more and more, every time I see it, I go, it's definitely not a penalty.
Yep.
So you're right. It's not down to the McCausland. Well, what should have happened is, if you got a strong referee or strong VAR panel, yellow card, free kick for Livy.
Yeah, the other aspect of it, which is really annoying, take Rangers and Livingston out of the equation, the thing that's really annoying a lot of people is the consistency, the forensic way they look at situations and slow them down to get to a point where they're advising a referee you've made a mistake. Uh-huh. And I refer you to Maeda, which again was first of all at speed, then a constant, and we saw it from the VAR, a constant slowing down frame by frame until he's off. And that one there, even if you got the one other angle on it, you can see it's not a penalty. I don't know at what point, how many times did they look at that to see that's never a penalty.
We're going back to the crux of the whole thing. VAR is not the problem here. VAR is the technology, Peter, that we're all looking at.
Yeah.
It's the people making the decisions that are getting it wrong time and time again. And I don't understand how they do that. We've talked about getting ex-players in or ex-referees, whatever. You always worry that if you add more people to it, you get more different opinions on it. But that, for me, yesterday, I would say 90% of people who watch football would say, that's not a penalty.
Yeah, I know a lot of my mates who are Rangers fans were laughing at that, Ruffy.
Yeah. Can I twist it just a wee bit?
Oh, right, everybody's up now.
Say we didn't have VAR.
Yeah.
It would have been a penalty. Because the referee gave a penalty.
Yeah.
You're right,
We all agree it's not a penalty. So VAR is there for a reason. They're just what the user saying, they're not getting it right on certain occasions.
Yeah.
But if we hadn't had VAR yesterday, the referee pointed the spot right away, penalty, and it would have been a penalty. So
you're right. VAR is there to correct that, Ruffy.
That's right, but they're not doing it. Not getting them all right. Somebody would say to you, there was maybe 12 VAR, decisions at the weekend, and they maybe got 3 wrong. So they will twist that and say, we've got 9 right.
Yeah.
I didn't think the handball, when I saw it initially, for the penalty for Rangers was a handball. I never saw that until they had another look at it when it came over. So, they've got to have a look at it and get it right.
Yeah, my biggest problem with the whole thing is, again, as we talked about, is the consistency. It was brought in to get the percentage of decisions correct. It wasn't brought in to solve all the problems. It was brought in to get the percentage. But the way the whole thing's evolving now, I would say, Tam, that, and again, whether McCausland's given the penalty or not, I would say that you have to bring the power back to the referee and let the referee, once they say, we think you've made an error, there's one angle, there's the other angle, you've got 60 seconds, make the call, but it's your call. We're not going to mark you down, we're not going to put pressure on you, which I think is happening at the moment.
The game's getting re-refereed.
It's getting re-refereed to an extent where referees are if a referee goes to a television now, you're saying, it's a penalty, it's a red card, it's a disallowed goal, because the pressure coming from the VAR it must be unbelievable, because they are making decisions and getting them wrong, and the VAR people are getting them wrong, and they've had 5-6 looks at it before the referee even starts to run over to it. So you get 60 seconds, but also over and above that, I think the majority of the power must be 75 to 80% referee, make your call now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Peter. I think that, listen, we brought VAR in to get these decisions correct, and if you're the Livingston manager, you're raging at that. That's a big moment in the game. Okay, missed the penalty, but that's never a penalty kick, and I don't understand how you can look at that 4 or 5 times and say it was a penalty. So you're right. I was listening to the radio coming in there, and they were talking about maybe introducing a challenge system where, like in tennis, you've got maybe 3 challenges per game as a manager, as a club, and you can challenge a decision. That could be something that could come in as well, but I know that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing.
That would make it even.
By the way, it doesn't.
I get what they're trying to say, you know what I mean. But we already have delays for like 5-6 minutes, and then hold on, I'm going to throw a challenge in here. Maybe 5.
But it doesn't alter the fact that if the VAR guy still stands his ground,
yeah,
you're goosed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not the challenge. Doesn't resolve it for me. What I think should happen is we want the game to get back to what we know as football, and it's nothing to do with a generational thing. It's about a free-flowing game of football where the referee is the arbiter, and you have to get to a situation where the fans are informed and the speed of the game returns. And also, as we talked about, Ruffy, we need the advantage, especially with offside. I would have clear daylight between a player, a defender and an attacker to emphasise the need that we want to see goals.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm going to stick up for one man here who I think deserves tremendous credit, and he's been much maligned, and I am actually a fan of James Tavernier, because he scores the penalties, he's missed one, scores the other one, his goal strikes are amazing. People say, oh wait a minute, he can't defend. But I just think in the UK, James Tavernier should be not first in the firing line for anything. It was always the supporting cast for me that I think was sometimes the problem.
No, I think his record speaks for itself. The goals he scored, contribution he makes to the game. You'll always know if Rangers score a goal, he's going to be there or thereabouts, whether it's a free kick, whether it's a quality ball into the box, or whether it's a penalty. He's always there, and for the position that he plays, it's absolutely a tremendous start to throw out there. And he might get criticised defensively, but I think that's only in European football when you go up the level, when you're up against better sides, because in our league he's going to be on the front foot most of the game.
Yeah. Would you have liked him in your side?
I'm a big fan, yeah. I like him, and I don't get the criticism. Yeah, he's not the best defender, but what he gives you going forward is absolute. His contribution is immense, not just in your run-of-the-mill games, but in the big games as well. I think he's been, a big player for Rangers, and you're right, supporting cast has let him down rather than him let anybody else down.
Yeah, Philippe Clement, I think he was hoping that maybe as we move forward they might cut some clubs some slack in recovery time after they come back off these hefty European games.
Maybe for people who never played, think what is the difference for 6 hours more or 8 hours more, but it's a big difference in recovery of a body. These hours of sleep, these hours of recovery, because it's really short time that players can recover. We play every 3 days. We will have again a schedule of 12 games in, I think, 38 days. So it's an important part, the recovery.
Are you going to phone Philippe and say to him, by the way, it's a lovely line that you're saying, but you've not got a catch chance in hell?
We all know where he's coming from. We've all been in those shoes. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's why, particularly at the big clubs, you have the bigger squads, because you are meant to cope. Other clubs who are new to it, a bit like Aberdeen at the minute, and I've had it myself with the team in Cyprus, not used to it. They suffer sometimes domestically when they put so much into the games, in the midweek. But you have to get your head around it and accept it for what it is, and the players have to adapt. And we've been talking about this for 25 years, Peter. It's not going to change. The TV companies run the game, and they're the ones who put the money where their mouth is. Yeah,
absolutely. Livingston hit the bottom of the table. I'm sure he's worried, but he says it's not unusual for Livingston to be considered a team at the bottom of the table. That's David Martindale, of course.
Pretty normal. This isn't an abnormal situation we find ourselves in. Yes, sitting at the bottom of the league, I get that. Through goal difference as well. But we go on spells without, every season we've been at a football club, we go on spells where we've not won a game in 5. So it's no abnormal. We just need to get back on track, deal with one game at a time.
That's the manager just saying, stay calm.
Yeah, he's saying stay calm, but he knows exactly where they are. He's been telling us all for the last 6-9 months, the resources at the club and what he's dealing with. He'll know the fixtures that are coming up. He'll know the teams that are coming, visiting. He could take 3 points off them, but he's going to be down there most of the year. Most of the other 2 teams that are down there will be there as well. So as long as they don't get cut adrift, he's always got a chance, because they are a workmanlike side and things go well, and certain big players are playing well, like Anderson, scoring goals and that. They've always got a chance, but it's a horrible place to be when you're there the whole season.
Yeah, I think he might, unless somebody comes up with some real cash in January, Tam, I think his team sadly might be the saving grace for everyone else at the bottom end of the table.
Yeah, they're struggling, Peter. I think that's 5 straight defeats, and the thing about Livingston is they always battle and scrap for things, and I didn't see that yesterday. I didn't see a physicality about Livingston. They go and get after Rangers and put some tackles in and try and intimidate them physically. They didn't try that, didn't do that at all. And that's Livingston. That was a snarling Livingston, getting after people and being hard to break down, hard to beat. Don't see that with Livingston. I feel the worst for them, unless he gets 2 or 3 quality players in, which I don't know his budget. He needs to get some quality in and some fresh faces in January.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, sometimes we all get together and we all try and predict the outcome of games. I don't know anyone who predicted Dundee 4, St Mirren 0.
No, I don't think they'll get relegated now. No, it was one of the days, wasn't it? Everything went well for them. They got the goals at the right time. The place was absolutely buzzing, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. I don't even think St Mirren manager saw that coming either, with the form that they're on. But no, you take it, it's a home win. They have been particularly good at home. They've been picking up points here and there, but that 4-0 would just send the fans home happy, and that's all you want to do.
Yeah, well, Dundee manager Tony Docherty wasn't surprised by the win.
But listen, it doesn't surprise me. I think we've been showing levels of real quality, and I think we picked him off. And the real pleasing aspect for me today was, teams are always talking about us in terms of scoring goals from set plays. We scored 2 goals from open play today. But as well as that, to get all your strikers on the score sheet and to keep another clean sheet is particularly pleasing.
Well, it's no mean feat taking points off St Mirren this season.
It's no mean feat scoring 4 goals against them, because they are quite well structured defensively. And you guys didn't see that one coming at all. There has been a bit of a bug going around in St Mirren training ground, and they lost O'Hara, and maybe some other players weren't at the races because of that. But by all accounts, there wasn't one St Mirren player came out of the game with much credit at all. And you got to give Dundee a lot of credit. They would have been one of my tips to struggle this season. Still a long way to go, but that's a fantastic win and a real sort of statement result for them this season.
Yeah, you like Tony?
Yeah, I've been quite consistent with Dundee. I think they'll be okay this season. I think they've got a lot of young, hungry players in their team, a lot of quality. He'll be delighted that the 3 strikers scored. Zach Rudden, he's not had a great time at Dundee, but he looked the part. He played well. Bakayoko, and then Robinson came on. Zach Robinson scored a good goal as well. So he'll be delighted. Strikers on the score sheet, clean sheet. And I think Dundee will be fine. I think Tony Docherty and Stuart Taylor are doing well up there. And I played with Dundee. If they got on a good run, the fans will really back them, get behind them. There'll be bigger crowds at Dens Park. And they've got a wee bit of momentum now, that's them. And I think they're only 3 points behind St Mirren. So they've started the season pretty well, to be honest.
This could be the first club that you've had mates at that have done all right.
It is, aye.
Because it's the kiss of death.
It is.
If you know them.
Big Stuart Taylor was at Hamilton and I thought he would do well and he get sacked. So hopefully he does
Tell
all
them
right.
about the other boy, it was your mate.
Stephen Glass?
Yeah.
He gets sacked or no?
Stay away from me, will you?
Aye, Stephen Glass.
Don't touch him at
And then
all.
Martin Rennie, he came over from America and got the Falkirk job, he gets sacked. So I've not got a great record.
No, absolutely. The Jonah syndrome
Correct.
continues with you. It's unbelievable. Listen, it might have been a bad day. It might have been a sickness bug. Whatever it is, I love Stephen Robinson on the basis that, when they're hyping them up, he was trying to put a tin lid on it because obviously he knows that there's going to be some days when they're going to hit a few bad results. Again, reiterating, St Mirren stay in the Premiership.
Yeah, look, we haven't become a bad team overnight. Obviously, we'll get criticised for the performance, and rightly so. I don't believe in getting too carried away when we were doing really well. You guys have been the ones that saying we're great and we're going to go to Europe. I'm in saying we need to stay in the division. That hasn't changed. We're a good side. We've got good players. We've got good characters who will respond to it.
How do you handle the players when you're on the end of a spanking like that?
Oh, you have to not be too harsh on them because they've been brilliant this season. And they're still sitting in third place. They've had a great start this season. It wasn't always going to last, Peter. And Stephen's realistic and pragmatic about it. But they just have to take that one on the chin and just, put it away. There may have been, again, mitigating circumstances as the below par performance, but it's so unlike them because they've been great, and they've given the St Mirren fans a lot of joy this season. And I think they'll come again, and he'll be driving them in the background because he's a great sort of, not only a good coach, but a really good man motivator as well. And I think, he'll be hurting a little bit, but I think they'll bounce back. I quite like the structure at St Mirren. They're a good club.
Yeah. If there's one man I was really happy for, Ruffy, to come out of the weekend with maybe a little bit of pressure off him, was Stephen Naismith because, and again, I'm not saying that at the detriment of Stuart Kettlewell, but there was a lot of things going on in the background. Neil knows it is noise and people suggesting players weren't playing for him or whatever. And he got a result.
He certainly did, and he touched on it last week, some of the stuff that had been posted within the club, and it's not nice, to get that kind of thing when it's a personal attack on somebody, it's a collective, you're in as a team. He hasn't convinced a lot of the fans for whatever reason, but we know fans, some segment of fans will never be convinced. So as long as he keeps winning games, they'll keep quiet, and that's his most purpose he's got to do is keep winning games, keep them on side, because I think they will go up the league.
Yeah, keep Lawrence Shanklin fit.
Yeah, listen, he's a terrific player, Peter. And I think Hearts are lucky to have him. I think he could play anywhere, Lawrence Shanklin. I think he's a really, really clever player. Great finish for the first goal. He parks himself in front of the goalkeeper, and you get a lot of goals there and just knockdowns. He knows exactly what he's doing. He just helps it on into the corner. Lovely finish, and then the second one takes it round the goalkeepers, and then the defender's running on the line. He's got the quality and the class just to clip it back across the defender's on the line into the net. So, get a very, very good player, and Hearts need to keep him fit. If Hearts do keep him fit, they'll be in the mix for third, because I don't think there's many, bar Miofsky maybe, many better than him outside Old Firm.
Yeah,
great player.
The other thing I was going to say to you though is
you've got to talk about the kung fu kick on Liam Boyce.
Well, I think I don't know what angle they viewed it from. They probably viewed it from 4 angles and thought it wasn't a strong enough kick for the penalty. But my God, Tam,
how is that not a penalty, Peter? I mean, he's absolutely booted him in the chest. I mean, it's a clear penalty kick, and for VAR not to give that, it's astonishing, to be honest. And again, you're thinking, what are they looking at? What are they looking at in the VAR office? I mean, are they sitting watching the telly or something? I mean, what are they watching the game? That's a penalty kick, and Stephen, it didn't matter in the end, but Stephen,
are they sitting watching the telly?
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I don't know which telly it is they're watching.
No, but I mean, come on, that's a penalty, Peter, isn't it?
Yeah, well, listen, it's a kick Ralph Macchio would have been happy with.
Why is he hurting his face?
He went for his face down his chest quickly.
Hold on a second, you don't think it was a penalty?
No, I'm just saying, why is he holding his face?
So sometimes it's an instinctive reaction
to make it worse than it looks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how you can make that worse than it looks. And again, Stephen Naismith at the end, it's the inconsistency that angered the Hearts manager.
I think Liam Boyce's one's a penalty for me. It's a penalty for me, and then if the referee turns around and says there's not enough contact, 20 minutes later then he can't give a foul in the middle of the park for something that's got more contact, less contact, then it doesn't make sense. And then the second one, Ibrox, we get blocked, we don't get a penalty, the penalty stands. Today they're saying there's a block, so blocks now count. The inconsistency is what's ruining it.
I like a manager who remembers things from weeks ago as well.
But it is, it's inconsistency. That's why we all sit here and we go, I can't believe that happened there, and then something happens down the other end of the park, and I always think nothing's the same. They might be similar, but they're not identical, and what he's saying is it's something stuck in his mind, and it might not, I don't think it's the same, but they see it as that. But Neil will tell you what they see at the side. Do you see the same things as a manager that rile you?
Yeah, well, what he's talking about is the penalty that was given against him, and he felt Lundstrom was blocking Herring, and then Herring got a grip of Golson's shirt, and they were saying, well, the block was irrelevant, it's still a penalty, and now they're saying the opposite to Stephen, and I get that it's very, very frustrating, and I get that he's kept that in his mind because they've come out with an explanation, and then they've changed it to qualify their decision on Saturday. It's a great win for him. And you're right, Tom talked about the two finishes. The first goal's a great finish, and the second goal's a really good team goal, Tom, and he took it brilliantly. But you're right, Peter, they have to keep him fit, because he is definitely a talismanic quality player for them at the minute.
Yeah, 9 games without a win in the league for Motherwell. If there is such a thing as a secret formula, Stuart Kettlewell says he has it, he better find it quickly.
And it starts to look poor now because you put a run of defeats, a couple of draws in there, but you start to piece all that together in the one spell, and that's where people ask questions. I get it, understand it, accept it, but I do genuinely believe we have the people, and I do believe that we have a formula that will sort of arrest this form that we find ourselves in.
Now, I am of the...
Celtic away after the break.
Well, I know that, but I'm off... It could be 10 games without a win, but I'm of the belief that... for what he did to change their fortunes last season, and I know everybody deals in the here and now, they started off well. The board needs to hold their nerve with this guy and stick with him.
Listen, he's on a bad run of form. 9 games is it's not great. It's not great viewing. But you're right. He came in when Motherwell were bottom of the league, toiling. Saved them. Got them up the table. Done really, really well. He's struggling now, but managers are going to go through good spells and bad spells. You've got to quantify over the whole piece, and over the whole piece, if you look at all the games, his record's pretty good. So you've got to give him an opportunity. Listen, Celtic away after the break is going to be difficult, but I think after that they've got a run of games where they can start picking up points. But you're right, the board need to hold their nerve and don't panic, because I don't think sacking him is going to be the answer.
Yeah, am I out of order? Have I lost the sense of a manager on a bad run because Stephen McLean was on an equally bad run? What's the difference?
Maybe Stuart's got a little bit more credit in the bank, and we talked about Van Veen going in the summer, Peter. He was such a huge player, 30 odd goals last season, which is remarkable for Motherwell at that level. It's not good reading at the minute. I mean, they started the season off really well, and we thought, they're looking top 6, but this run is a worry. It's not just 9 games, it's 7 defeats in the 9 games. It's the worry, and with Celtic looming on the horizon, you can't see them getting anything there. He needs to start scratching out a win from somewhere, but I really didn't see this coming, with the start that they made. In the corresponding game at Tynecastle, they won 1-0, but they were playing some really good football at the time. So it is an alarming slide that he needs to arrest very, very quickly. Otherwise, he's going to come under more scrutiny, and that's just the nature of the job. I think he's a good guy, Stuart. I think he's enthusiastic, but this run is not good.
Yeah. Hibs, it was Josh Campbell again. It's just sometimes you get weeks like that, Ruffy. You just have a great week where you score against St Mirren. I was chatting to him, the boy's high as a kite.
Had them weeks, Pete.
No, but...
Tom made it up, I never did.
Remember, though, that some players get to the opposition's box. that wasn't your.
Someone was there for it.
That wasn't your game.
Oh, he's gonna
Right.
lose,
You were there to shore up once Sutty had given it away. So from that point of view, good win, great for the boy, high as a kite, scores the winner.
Yeah, and I think you have to give credit to Boyle, for the couple of runs that he made, and even the bit just before he gave it to him, he got tripped, he could have went down, but he stayed on his feet, gave the pass, they got the goal. I mean, Kilmarnock are just away from home, they just can't buy anything, and it must be a worry for them away from home. At home, yeah, but missing the boy Vassell, you can see he was a big player for them getting goals. So away from home, yep, it's going to be a long season if they can't notch something out of there, but I don't think they'll be in any trouble at all.
Yeah, Nick Montgomery, well happy. It's always good to get that first win under your belt.
I thought it was a real professional performance. I thought coming off the back of Wednesday night's disappointment of conceding, an injury time equaliser, it was important that we got back to winning ways today, and clean sheet, 3 points, and probably could have made it easier. I think we could have killed the game off before that. I think we limited them to one shot on target, and they're a physical team, very direct, so I think that shows how well we defended. And yeah, I thought the fans were fantastic today. They really did help us push us through at the end, because you know that there's going to be a few hairy moments of balls in at the box. Good delivery, they got really good delivery from the wide players, and they got a lot of height. I thought we really defended resolute today, and it's a real team performance.
You happy with your boys?
Yeah, I thought they deserved to win the game, Peter. I watched the game, I thought Martin Boyle was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was outstanding. He looked right back to his best. I don't think he's been particularly at his best this season. But he rested him during the week. He put him on the bench against St Mirren, and he looked fresh at the weekend. He caused Kilmarnock all sorts of problems with just running at them, and just his pace. He created the goal, and I'm pleased for Josh Campbell as well. Don't think a lot of Hibs fans quite taken to him. But 2 goals in a week, he's come back into the team, he's been ready to play, and that's important when you're out the team, that you come in and you make an impact. And he's come in, he scored a good goal during the week against St Mirren, and then a great finish at the weekend to win the game. So listen, it would have been a nervy last 10-15 minutes, because Hibs have been conceding goals and points lately, but to get a win before the international break, 1-0, you go into that international break buoyant, you're only a couple of points behind Hearts, you're back in the mix for third. And Nick, I think Hibs' performances have deserved more. Neil touched on it earlier, the Aberdeen game, they should have won. I think some little decisions, big decisions have been going against them, the Martin Boyle offside, but I think they deserve to win, and hopefully they can get a couple of players back from injury, and everything's pretty positive at Hibs at the minute. Yeah,
good news for Kilmarnock. They've announced that from season 25-26 they'll have a grass pitch.
Yeah, that was good news. I think that's good news for the game. I don't agree with plastic pitches in the top division in any country, but it is an asset for them, Peter, because their home form is so good, and it's just interesting what the thought process is behind it. And Ruffy's touched on it, they can't get a performance, they can't get a tune out of them away from home. But yeah, for me, for the overall viewing of the Scottish game, it's good that it's not a good surface, it's a very difficult one, and I used to love playing at Rugby Park on the grass. I'm sure Kilmarnock fans won't want to hear that, when Celtic come and Rangers come and they see a grass pitch again, but for the overall good of the game, it's better we get rid of these pitches, the sooner the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 2 wins from 24 since they returned to the top flight away from home for Kelly. Derek McInnes thinks they're getting closer.
Well, we're not going to mirror our home form on the road, and I think it's difficult for most teams to do that. We need to try and get somewhere in between, and the performance today, if we were coming here and been well beaten and just nowhere near it and miles off it and think, what are we doing? But we're in the fight, we're in the game, and it feels different to last season from that point of view. Our home form's still pretty similar to what it was last season, but away from home, I think we're close.
Okay, didn't quite make it in the end, but they should be comfortable. Ruffy, do you share that view?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think their home form, if they can get Vassell back, scoring goals, I think they're always a difficult team to beat. They've got good players in there who are going to cause you trouble. The boy Armstrong's particularly good. So, no, I think at home, and I can get what he's saying there, that if we were going away from home, not particularly winning, just a point here, a point there away from home, it just adds to the good form you've got at home.
Here's a problem I have with the last game we're going to talk about, Tam. St Johnstone 1, Ross County 0. Craig Levein with a really positive start since he came in there. Now, I don't know about you, but I look at it and I always say to myself, if I hear one player come out and say, we're really sorry for Stephen McLean, we got him the sack, we should have played better. Look at the results.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that, do they? If you're Stephen McLean. But no, I think Craig will be a good appointment. I think he's an experienced manager. He's got Andy Kirk in there with him as well. They know each other well. They've started well. I think they've picked up 2 wins and a draw. So they're doing well, St Johnstone. They've got off the bottom of the table. And they're looking up now. And it's going to be a real scrap, at the bottom of the league now. Ross County struggling. Struggling to score. Didn't score on the weekend. And second bottom, Livingston bottom. It could be between the 3 of them. Because I think Dundee will be okay. But he's came in, he's got a positive reaction out of the players. And I'm glad for Graham Carey because I think his wife's ill with cancer. She's struggling. So that will give her a boost and give everyone at the club a boost. He's got a tremendous left foot and took his goal well. So I'm glad that Graham got the goal. But great result for St Johnstone.
Yeah. Craig's got something. He's a really infectious character. As I said to you the other day there,
he had a few tussles with him.
See you two. See when you two were in that after-match press conference. I just used to think,
that's your order.
Record. Here we go. Let's go for the 2 of you. It was brilliant in a press conference.
Hey, Craig.
Yeah, you loved all that noise up, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good, and it was good for the city. And it just ramped up the rivalry, and got the better of each other on a few occasions, and it was exciting times. I enjoyed it, and he's a good guy. He had his own health scare a few years ago, and it's good to see him back in the thrust of it again. And as Tam said, it's a solid appointment. It's exactly what St Johnstone probably needed.
Do you think they'll be relegated?
It's a very good question. I don't know now. I don't know now. I think Livy, because he's been punching above his weight for a long time, and the budget just keeps diminishing year after year for David. It's going to be difficult for them. I think they'll be thereabouts, Peter. I really do. St Johnstone. I don't think they're out of the woods just yet.
Ross County 8 games without a win.
That's a worry. That is a worry, and I didn't see that coming. I thought, after the scare and the near miss of last season getting relegated, I thought they would have corrected that, but they started off okay, scoring goals, and now the goals have dried up completely.
Look at that table, Ruffy. As you can see in the Scottish Premiership, it's tight at the bottom. You could throw a blanket over all those clubs from, from 4th downwards?
Yeah, but it just shows you what a couple of wins can do. Look at St Johnstone, we were writing them off, and they were 7 points, and you're saying, they're a stick-on. So everybody else in that area will be saying, look, we can notch a couple of wins here, it could take us right into top 6. But I think it's beginning to suss itself out. I know Dundee are up there. I don't visualise them being there, or St Mirren. I think they'll be 5th or 6th. I don't imagine them being anywhere near 3rd or 4th. So I think there's still a lot of movement in that league to go.
Yeah, and I think over the weekend there was a few shifts in the predictor, Tam. The table itself is, 1 week you can be as high as a kite, and the next minute it can all go pear-shaped. Kerry, I think, is just making up numbers at the moment. I'm not sure. She really needs to get her finger out.
She'll be getting sacked shortly.
Yeah, and Adam there, myself, and then it's Alison, yourself. Very tight there with you two.
Can I ask a question? How come you're on 57?
Yes.
But you're above Adam and Kerry?
Well, do you want me to tell you something? I think they've made a mistake on my points there. I'm not quite sure. That's a mistake in the table.
Then,
yeah. I've got games in hand. Shut it, and I told you not to point it out. But I am actually up there.
Ruffy's doing all right.
Ruffy, you're doing okay.
Just steady.
I love it, Ruffy, yeah.
Yeah, just keep calm, there's no panic. You're down the bottom, there is panic. There's a big hit at the end of the season.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to take us all out for a meal. The loser takes us all out for a meal.
I'm going to have a word with Kerry then.
Yeah.
She's going to have to...
Well, I'll tell you right now, I just want to know what your happy meal is. So, Scotland's double-header coming up after we're talking about the Scottish Premiership. We've got a couple of games to look forward to, Ruffy, and a couple of games where, quite simply, Steve Clarke will be looking and saying, you're playing for a place.
Yeah, you certainly are, but I still said a couple of weeks ago we need to pick up points. There is, if other teams pick up points, we could end up at the final draw at the Euros being in the 3rd pot, and we don't want to be in the 3rd pot. We want to be 2nd pot, where we get one of the top teams, and then it's us and a couple of wee ones underneath us. So I think it's important we get things out of the game. And interesting, I'm saying he's going to give the 2 goalkeepers a game each, you know, and that is a problem, you know, if our main man's not coming back, because none of them have got any caps under their belt at all. So the sooner that even Craig Gordon's not heard much about Craig just now, if he's getting games behind the scenes. So, you know, it's good for him to say they're going to get games, because you need games.
And what a chance for the aforementioned Lawrence Shankland to maybe just put himself back into the sight of Steve Clarke.
Yeah, I think Lyndon Dykes has been the main man, but I think this is a game where you can experiment and play different players. I think we've already qualified. So it'll be a great opportunity for Lawrence Shankland, playing well for Hearts, back in amongst the goals, for him to go and stake a claim. Because I don't think that striking berth is nailed down with Lyndon Dykes. I think there's an opportunity for a Lawrence Shankland, if he keeps banging goals in at Hearts, to get in that starting lineup, because I don't think Dykes is doing particularly well at Queen's Park Rangers. So yeah, I think it'll be, listen, it's interesting games, it'll be interesting to see the teams, but it's a good opportunity to have a look at players.
I think he wants 2 wins though. He really wants to finish with a flourish, because as Ruffy said, that whole coefficient is key for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be Steve's sort of thought process anyway, but it's a brilliant position that Scotland are in. And, you know, for you nailed it, you know, play for your place now. What an incentive that is for the players. You know, regardless of who the opposition is between now and when the Euros come around, but they're 2 cracking games for the players to get their teeth into. The Norway one, for me, will be a belter at Hampden, like, you know, it'll be, I think, great atmosphere and a buoyant crowd.
Fancy 2 wins?
Yeah, I do. I fancy them to beat Georgia, and, you know, I'd expect them with the home form, scrape it by even though Holland will be maybe playing. I think Scotland will win at home as well.
Ruffy, do you share that optimism?
Yeah, I think it'll be better than the last time we were in Georgia.
Yeah.
At least we got home safely for that one.
I don't know why you always moan about it as if it was bad. We just get into a car which had no windows. That was the first problem. And then the other 2 people looked as if they were KGB. And then they just drove round as if they were chasing James Bond. And Ruffy looked at me, and I always remember what Murdo MacLeod said to me, and it struck me with Ruffy in the car. If we eventually were going to be killed just with a single bullet to the head by the 2 gangsters in the front, nobody would really mention me in the newspaper article. You know, 3 World Cup international legend Alan Ruff died, and by the way, at the bottom, and by the way, Peter Martin was also in the car
carrying Ruffy's bags.
Exactly. You'll never know how accurate it was, but I was thinking that because Murdo and I were on a plane one day, and he always just, when I was sitting next to him, he always used to try and make sure that you felt uneasy, and he went, remember, if the plane crashes, nobody will mention you. Because it was a plane full of superstars. But nevertheless, it was a great time in Georgia, Ruffy. We had a right good laugh.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was a bit alarming. We got there late at night, and I got up in the morning. I think it was about 8 o'clock. There was a noise outside, and I pulled back the curtains. There was a tank coming up the road towards the hotel.
Just doing the rounds, yeah.
Delivering milk, to be honest with you. Anyway,